Hello again. I'm going to read this morning from Genesis 37. It's part of the story about Joseph. And we all know the story of Joseph. And it might be a surprise to some people to find out that actually it's a story from Genesis and not just a creation by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. But I'm joining the story where Joseph has just had his dreams, his first set of dreams, whereby God has promised to him that in his life he's going to have a greatness. Whole nations would bow down before him. Even his brothers and his mother and father would bow down before him. So let's take it up from there. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But they reached him, but they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to each other. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. Say that a ferocious animal has devoured him. Then we'll see what becomes of him and his dreams." When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. "Let's not take his life," he said. "Don't shed any blood. Throw him in the cistern here in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him." Reuben said this in order to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and they threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty and there was no water in it. And then they sat down to eat their meal. Poor old Joseph. What's he going to do? Now, Joseph, in this situation, he's thrown into the pit, but he had been promised by God that he would achieve greatness, that he would have whole nations that would bow down before him, but he's thrown into this pit. And his reaction, I take a little bit of comfort from, in a way, because his reaction isn't to turn around and say, "Oh, I'll be fine because God's looking after me." He was afraid. He was frightened. He despaired. He feared for his life. It actually says a little bit later on in the story, the brothers say, "We saw the anguish of his soul when he begged us to save him." So he wasn't perfect. He might have had a lot, but he still had his faults. He still had his problems. And we all have times when we are thrown in the pit in life. We could be going along. And everything could be going along really well, and everything's great and hunky-dory, and bang, we're thrown into the pit. And it could be a whole number of different things that cause us to feel like we're in that pit, in that moment of despair. But God had a plan for Joseph, and it did work out for him. And God has a plan for you and me. So if you're going through something at the moment and you feel like you're in the pit and you feel you're in despair, please have a read of Joseph's story. Have a read through how God was with him all the way through his life, working through the different problems that he had as he went through his life. And I just want to leave you with a passage from Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. "The Lord himself goes before you, and he will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged." Amen.